Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we will understand what GDP is in a very simple way. So let's imagine a small town in India. In 1 year, a farmer grows wheat worth rupees 2 lakhs, a shopkeeper sells goods worth rupees 3 lakhs, a teacher provides education services worth rupees 1 lakh, a carpenter makes furniture worth rupees 2 lakhs. If we add all the value of goods and services produced in that town, we get the total economic activity of that town. Now imagine doing the same calculation for the entire country. That total value of everything produced in a country is called GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product. So, by simple definition, we can say that GDP means the total value of all goods and services produced within a country in a given period of time, usually a year or a quarter. That includes things like food produced by farmers, cars made in factories, apps built by tech companies, services like healthcare, banking, and education, etc. So, if production increases, GDP rises, and if production falls, GDP drops. Now, the next important question is how GDP is calculated. So, economists often calculate GDP using something called the expenditure method, in which the formula looks like this: GDP is equals to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Now, let's simplify the formula, in which the C stands for consumption, which means the money people spend on things like food, clothes, phones, and entertainment. I stands for investment, which means the money businesses spend on factories, machines, and buildings. G stands for government spending, in which the money the government spends on roads, defense, hospitals, and schools. X stands for export, which means goods sold to other countries, and M stands for imports, which means goods bought from other countries. Exports are added because they bring money into the country, while imports are subtracted. Now let's understand types of GDP. So economists usually talk about different types of GDP to understand the economy better. Let's take a look at them also. Number 1 is nominal GDP. Nominal GDP is calculated using current market prices. It does not adjust for inflation. For example, if prices increase but production stays the same, nominal GDP will still rise. Second is real GDP. Real GDP adjusts for inflation. This means it shows the actual increase in production, not just prices increases. Because of this, economists often prefer real GDP when comparing economic growth over time. Third one is GDP per capita. GDP per capita is calculated by dividing total GDP by the population of a country. It gives us an idea of average economic output per person. For example, even if a country has a large GDP, a very large population might mean the average income per person is lower. Now let's talk about importance of GDP. GDP is extremely important because it tells us how fast an economy is growing. When GDP increases, businesses grow, jobs are created, people generally earn more money. But when GDP falls, it can signal economic trouble. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, many countries experienced economic slowdowns and falling GDP because businesses closed and production dropped. GDP also has few limitations because even though GDP is useful, it does not measure everything. GDP does not show income inequality, environmental damage, happiness, or quality of life. For example, a country may have high GDP but still have large poverty levels. That's why economists also look at other indicators to understand a country's true well being. Now let's conclude it. So, in short, GDP is the total value of goods and services produced within a country. It helps us understand how strong an economy is, whether it's growing or shrinking, and how government should plan economic policies. While it's not a perfect measure, GDP remains one of the most important tools economists use to track economic progress. Now, here are some additional information. India's GDP is measured by organizations like the National Statistical Office. India is currently one of the fastest growing major economies in the world and among the largest economies globally. So that's about the GDP. Thank you.